All right, y'all, we're going to get started here pretty soon. We're going to talk about the Olympics and everything going on there. But make sure to hit those links down in the description. Check this stuff out. Support the channel as much as you can. If you can't, that's okay too. We got a Patreon listed down there. We've got mugs, the Trip 4, Chicks Dig the Trip 4 mugs and t-shirts. And then we've also got the TENPIN Doctors mug. So make sure to click those links. If you can't support the channel, that is one good way to support us, as we are basically, this is what we do. So support us any way you can, and we'll get going here talking about whether or not the whole world of bowling deserves to be in Olympics or not.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 8, 7, 7, 6, 6, 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1. 1, 0, 0.
I'm still having fun with this thing. This is still really cool. Hold on, let me get this thing up out of the way. I'm on the wrong spot, but we can chit chat. Go ahead, comment. Comment over on the side or below. Do you think that bowling belongs in the Olympics? There we go. Couldn't find the button there. Make sure I'm okay. Make sure everybody can hear me. Go ahead, comment. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Give me a thumbs up. Give me something. Give me anything while I take a drink out of my sweet BowlerX cup. You ever see this BowlerX mug? It's pretty awesome. It's kind of like the mug that I have for sale over there. Those ones in the description down there. You know, those ones that you just saw on the screen. One like this. TENPIN Doctors mug. Kind of like that. You know, or like this one. Chicks Dig the Trip 4. We do. We do. I'm identifying as a chick right now. Because I dig the Trip 4 too. It's good stuff. So, I'm kind of debating on whether to do... Oh, hold on. Can y'all hear me? I haven't got any comments that said you can hear me, so I'm just kind of waiting for somebody to say, yes, we hear you loud and clear. Good morning from Hawaii. Joanne up there. Are we good? Very inactive people this morning, eh? I'm Canadian now. We can hear you. See? That's all I was waiting for. Appreciate you, Jalen. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. Okay. So here we go. I'm thinking about doing this a little bit more often, at least a couple of times a morning. Kind of want to do it a little bit earlier because my routine will probably be something like get up, take my boy to school, go to the gym, come back here and do a live stream. And we want to kind of talk about bowling and the things surrounding bowling. And right now, one of the things surrounding bowling in the conversations is whether or not bowling belongs in the Olympics. And I have my opinion, but I'm kind of wanting to hear what other people have to say about this. I personally do not believe that bowling belongs in the Olympics as of right now. I think there's some hurdles that need to be climbed. But I do think that Tom Clark makes a good point. I'm going to put this up on here. This was one of the things that PBA Commissioner Tom Clark made a post about the other day. I'm going to read it to you. It says, I really enjoyed watching the 2024 Paris Olympics because I love sports. Of course, bowling is my favorite sport. So, like most of you, it bothers me that bowling isn't in the Olympics. And because bowling clearly should be in the Olympics, that's where our opinions kind of differ a little bit. And I'll explain my opinions on that here in a little bit. We feel some jealousy towards sports that are in. But anyone feeling that way today should know that approximately 90% of the 328 medal events across 45 sports in Paris are as envious of the PBA TV schedule in the USA. Those Olympic sports such as archery, gymnastics, swimming, all the track and field disciples, badminton, canoe, diving, equestrian, fencing, field hockey, handball, judo, rowing, sailing, shooting, table tennis, climbing, weightlifting, water polo, and so many more would love to be on Fox Sports and CBS Sports Network for 70 original hours of programming each year. Any of those Olympic sports and their athletes would be ecstatic over a regular touring schedule of national televised events like we have. When those other sports watch 5 PBA major championships play out live on Fox broadcast channel with $100,000 first place prize in each, they are jealous of PBA bowling. As bowling fans, the best thing we can do is take advantage of and rally around our opportunities on TV. Next month, we are on Fox Sports, one of 3 consecutive days, September 15th through 17th, for live coverage of the PBA Elite Elias Cup playoffs. Best bowlers in the world on teams that earn their spots in the playoffs after a year competition around the country before enthusiastic crowds at Bayside Bowl in Portland, Maine. So I think he makes a really good point there that a lot of these sports don't have the opportunity to compete in the ways that the PBA does. Now, the one thing that they do have is when they do go compete in the Olympics like that, they have a lot of money involved. There's a lot of money for winning medals out there. Some of these countries do some very, very, very big. I don't know what to call them. Are they donations? Are they just rewards? More or less like a reward for winning medals for your country. And so I don't know if y'all know this, but like with the Pan Olympic Games and some of the smaller games and stuff like that, there's really not much benefit for being like on Team USA for bowling and whatnot. There's not. It's not like you really get paid to go do that. It's more or less just an opportunity to represent your country, which in and of itself, I think that is well worth it. To be completely honest, I think that is an honor to be able to go and do that and represent the sport in any capacity, representing the United States. I think that is really cool. So, but yes, the Olympic people out there, especially the gymnasts and all that, track and field, anybody out there playing any of the Olympic sports from other countries get paid buku bucks. Like even in bowling, with the Pan Olympic Games and some of that stuff that bowling is in or was, or I don't even know what bowling is involved in anymore when it comes to those types of games. But there are some countries that pay their bowlers big amounts of money, sometimes 6 figures, for winning medals at these games. Um, I don't know if anybody here, I'm sure some of y'all have been overseas and witnessed bowling in different countries than the USA. USA treats bowling completely different than other countries do. Bowling in some other countries, bowlers are like rock stars over there. Bowlers are looked at as athletes. And we have an issue in the United States with the way bowling is represented, in my opinion. This is all just my opinion. I'm not saying this as fact. This is just how I feel about the whole thing. Um, Now, people make a big stink about things like breakdancing being in the Olympics and whatnot, um, which I'm not so sure that I would consider that an Olympic sport as well. But um, bowling has its issues. And where I say bowling has its issues, it's because the competition when you look at all of the things involved, when it comes to the sport, what the things that determine who does well, and who is successful. There's too many variants that come into play that cause. Hold on, I just saw this. U.S. paid athletes for the 4 medals, 37,000 for gold. Yeah, and that's actually really low. I don't. That's not. You're not talking bowling, right? I think that's the other. That's really low compared to other countries there. Um, but bowling has its issues as far as like, um, oh, any sport. Yeah, that's not good. That's really low. That's bad. So yes, they would be very, very, very envious of the PBA tour. But anyway, so bowling has its issues of like who can be at the top of the game for any given day because there are variables that come into play. For instance, when you're at an event and you're crossing with certain people or following certain people, things can affect whether or not you bowl well. Now, sure, you can say you can make better decisions, but let's throw this out there. Let's say you go to a pair that was just absolutely destroyed by whatever bowling ball they're using. It could be urethane, it could be something with 180 grit, it could be whatever. Let's just say you go to a pair that is completely destroyed, and now you are one of, a quarter of the field that actually has to hit that pair, and you just happen to hit it at the wrong time. Now, your score is affected by that. And you can make the argument that, yeah, well, they're professionals. They should be able to. But here's the thing is during that game, all the other competitors don't have to also bowl on that pair. That's where bowling struggles. The lane patterns, the way the lanes break down, the things that are involved, bowling balls, like all of these things are so important. And I don't want to say they're more important than the athlete's talent, but there are things that come into play that are as important or just a step below the talent of the bowler. So when you talk about like things at the Olympics, sports at the Olympics, there's not things that come into play that affect whether or not you're doing well. Like gymnastics, for instance. If you mess up a routine, there's not something that happened that made you mess that routine up. That is all simply, it's you. It's your physical ability. It's whether you performed properly or not. There isn't a, well, this person was up there first and they spit all over the floor and made it slippery for me type of thing. I guess that could happen. Is it likely? No, it's not something that happens all the time. So, wait a minute. Controversy at Sam's Town. What was the controversy at Sam's Town? I missed it. What did I miss? There was something? Oh, breakdance has already been removed from the 2028 games. See, and that's probably because of popularity. That's one of bowling's issues that they have right now is it's a popular sport, but one of the things I saw was the popularity to the youth was an issue. Not seeing enough youth interest in the sport, which I would argue is it wasn't represented well enough because when you look at stuff like junior gold and how many kids are in college bowl, how much high school and college bowling has grown over the years, I would argue that bowling is growing quite fantastically when it comes to youth movement. Could it be better? Of course, but that also, you know, was one of the issues that came up. So, good morning, all. Good morning, Christian. Good morning, everybody commenting. I appreciate the comments. Make sure to hit that like button for me. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Subscribe, follow along. If you're on Facebook, hit that like button. If you're on Facebook, make sure to follow the page if you're here as an outsider. If you are not a follower of YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. Those are the things that can really help the channel, help us grow a little bit more. But let me hear what some of y'all have to say. What are the things that make you believe that bowling belongs in the Olympics? Let me have it. Let me hear it. Oh, the Oilgate conspiracy. or controversy at the Queens. Yeah, that was an issue, and that's another thing. Now, granted, of course, those things, like, let's say we're on an Olympic stage, and you know the athletes have to all compete on one pair of lanes. Now, bowling would take forever because everybody would have to. Well, hold on, I'm going to back up a little bit. Now, here's an issue, but rules kind of come into play here. With golf, it's kind of the same way. Golf can be have its issues as well, because let's say you're going to play. Not everybody's playing at the same time. Not everybody tees off at the same time, and not everybody plays all the holes at the exact same time. So the greens can play faster and slower at certain times. So the playing field can be different from time of day there. That's kind of like bowling. The playing field changes throughout the day. And these are some of the sports that have that issue with the playing field changing. And not only the playing field changing because of the environment, like in bowling, the patterns change based on the temperature, the humidity, all of those different things. But the golf course changes as well. The ball flight changes, how far the ball is going to fly, how much the ball is going to spin can be changed by weather, temperature, humidity, all of those different things. And also the courses gets changed by the equipment because there are divots taken out. And a divot can either stop a ball or help a ball. There's things on the course there's lucky breaks. You can bounce off a tree, bounce off a spectator. All of these different things come into play when it comes to golf. So golf is another one that is very similar to bowling. I don't think golf has nearly the hurdles to jump as much as bowling does, but golf definitely has some hurdles there as well. Let's see here. I agree with Patrick. I like where he's at. Subscribe and smash the like button. Please do that. Please help me out here. Like I said, I'm going to do this a little bit more often. We're going to talk and have conversation about bowling. We'll have some topics. Today we want to talk a little bit about the Olympics. Probably start this off as a shorter type of video, and then we will go into 2-hour long videos here over the next few days, and we'll bring up some different type of content. We'll talk about a lot of educational stuff. Maybe we'll even do some live streaming of some of the TV shows that are on there, and we'll talk through some of that as well. But a lot of teaching, a lot of coaching, those types of things that we're going to do on these live streams. So please make sure to subscribe and follow along. Hit the like button, share these if you can. Let's see. Golf also has extremely wide variety of equipment, just like bowling. Yep, that's true. If it's team bowling, then I feel it gets more Olympic skilled, random, possibly, yeah. If you bowl the fresh oil in the morning, lanes will play differently than it does in the afternoon squad. Yeah, like, and a lot of the things like Tom Clark and the PBA is doing is changing the fields a little bit to make them a little bit more fair, like going to one squad, so that way there's not squad inequity and stuff like that. Like you saw, there was a regional we bowled in Minster where our squad had, I think, 13 of the 20 spots, or only 7 from B squad made it out, or 6 or whatever it was. And then you have issues like that when the patterns play different. You have squad equity. If there's better bowlers in one squad, the lanes typically break down a little bit better, make them a little bit easier later in the day. Who's crossing with who just makes a big difference on a lot of this stuff. We already have Team USA that travels to compete against other countries, so why not give them the opportunity for an Olympic medal? Yeah, and again, I think I would agree. I'm not saying bowling can't be in the Olympics. I'm just saying from I'm trying to look at it from a perspective of the Olympic community. If you're looking at bowling as something to be in the Olympics, now, to be fair, it used to be all about the things I'm talking about. Now it's more about money. Now it's more about, okay, padding the pockets of people that are going to allow you in, get the votes to allow you to be in, or what's the most popular, what's going to get the most TV ratings, those types of things. Like, I mean, just think of the media. Like, look at the media news outlets now. They push nothing but controversy. whether it's politics or sports or anything, everything you see is mostly negative because people tune into that type of thing. So they're looking for, you know, clickbait more or less. What can we do to get more people to watch? So a lot of people I think are going down the negative aisle, and they're posting the negativity rather than the positivity. Um, so that kind of becomes one of the problems. But I would agree. I would think that I don't see any reasons other than the things that I pointed out as to why bowling couldn't be in the Olympics. Um, because think about it, like a lot of people have issue with two-handers or anybody with rev rate and whatnot, and think that's such an advantage. And sure, it is an advantage for sure, but it's also a skill. Like being two-handed, throwing the ball two-handed is a skill, just like releasing a ball one-handed and learning to release and get the thumb out quick enough to create rev rate is a skill of itself also. And some people argue that two-handed bowling takes away that skill and that it requires less skill. But if you've tried bowling two-handed, sure, it's easier to create rev rate without your thumb in it, but I feel like it's a whole lot more difficult to become an accurate and consistent bowler as a two-hander. It takes a little bit more practice, a little bit more time, in my opinion. I'm witnessing some people that are going through the struggles of trying to go from one-handed to two-handed now, and sure, they see a little bit of short-term success. They watch their ball speed come down at first, but their rev rate goes up, so they're throwing pins around and they're seeing more messengers, and they look at that as success, but they're missing more spares. They're a little bit less accurate. So you're giving some stuff up. It does take time to actually become better at the sport or at the game in those types of things. So it's not easy. Like some of these people that want to say that you know two-handed bowling is just it's a crutch or it's easy to go. It's just not. It's really not that easy. If you haven't tried it, and if it is that easy, why isn't everybody doing it? Like, why isn't everybody just doing it? And you can say it's the traditional mindset, whatever you want to say, but it's not. It's just really not that easy. Slap fight will be in the Olympics before bowling. I honestly I wouldn't be surprised at this point. Who would oversee the competition and the rule set? Olympic committee. I don't know. That's a good question. That's a really good question. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that would work. I'm not sure who would set the parameters or how many games are being bowled, how many pairs are being used. Is it going to be done in a bowling center? Are they building uh, you know a, a stadium type situation? I don't know how they would do that. I think there's a lack of knowledge about the sport that makes it easier for um, it makes it harder for people to understand what actually goes into the sport. So that's kind of one of the things that I want to do is I want to start putting some videos together to really push out what bowling is truly all about. Um, Talk about lane patterns, show the difference in lane patterns, show how the sport gets harder and easier based on whether you're a recreational bowler, a sport bowler, a PBA bowler, a league bowler. Like there's different levels, there's different skill sets, there's different things you have to do, there's different equipment, there's different cores, there's cover stocks, there's you know different surfaces, there's different types of cleaners and different types of polishes. There's all kinds of things that go into equipment and bowling in it as a whole. Are we a sport that requires strength? Are we a sport that requires being in shape? You know, those are those questions that we have to ask, and those are those questions that we have to start getting people to understand the answers to. And I'm going to go into my belief system and all of that here in a minute. But um, if you haven't already, make sure to click those links in the description below and get you some support items here. Support us with getting a t-shirt, getting a mug, whatever it may be. Chicks do dig the trip for. If you couldn't understand what that meant, that's what that is. That's chicks dig the trip for. You hear me say that in my videos an awful lot. Just, I don't even know where it came from, but it is a thing. So, Sport Channel, go check that out. I'll be right back. I'm going to take a quick break here. I got to run to the little boys' room, and then we'll be right back. All right, we are back. Sorry for that. I had a lot of coffee this morning, drinking from my own mug. But if you guys haven't, definitely appreciate anybody that hits those links in the description down below. Get yourself a mug, support the channel, get yourself a 10-pin Doctors mug. I think those are actually really cool. I got mine coming. Just design them, honestly. We had a new logo designed, and it looks like this. You guys can see. It is 10-pin Doctors powered by BowlerX, because the goal is to eventually open an actual training facility outside of just where I'm at Waterford. We'll obviously keep that shop and be bouncing around, but I would like to open a training center, which we are working on at this moment, and this is the new logo for our company, our brand, and it is powered by BowlerX. So we are staying involved with BowlerX. It is still going to be a BowlerX facility, and that's kind of one of the things as well that we're trying to do. Is I'm going to be trying to expand more pro shop wise and all that, heading out towards going to different pro shops, finding other locations that we can make as BowlerX locations, and more or less kind of franchise them, train the people in the shop to do things exactly the way BowlerX does them, which in our opinion obviously is the correct way. Making sure we're finding PAPs, measuring people's hands properly, putting people into proper bowling balls based on what their release looks like, the things that they need, all these different things. Making sure they can actually hit lines and drill bowling balls properly. We're trying to get into those things, so into those spaces. So if you know any spaces of any pro shops around that people are looking to get out of, or even want to maybe rebrand, rebuild, and we'll come in and help you out and make it a BowlerX pro shop, and we'll see what we can do there. So Tampa, Florida, home of Bowlers Rant, home of the other company, that company. I won't say their company name on here. We don't need to do that. All right, what do we got here? I've always thought patterns should be symmetrical for left and right hand bowlers. The problem with that is, again, that's another issue that we have. Unless the surface is completely brand new, and even if the surface is completely brand new, we run into the issue of there's not enough left-handed bowlers and there's way more right-handed bowlers. So let's say we make the lanes super flat. Now the problem is the right-hand side actually breaks down a lot quicker. The right-handers get the lanes to break down a little bit, and the lanes become a little bit easier because you see some transition, you see some carry down. The left hand does not, and so if the lanes are very tough, they're kind of screwed the entire day. The other side of it comes from if the lanes are easy. Now the left side has the nuts all day long, while the right side gets beat up and torn up and has to get forced to move left and they lose carry and they get beat by the left every single time. That's why there's always the left versus right conversation. And it's very hard to make an asymmetric pattern to where it can emulate like the left side breaking down. Um, so even if you make the right side a little tougher because they're going to break it down and make it easier, and you make the left side a little easier, the problem is now you're giving the left an advantage in the beginning and the right more of an advantage at the end, or a disadvantage in the beginning. So which way can we go about this? There's always going to be the arguments there. So you look at something like the Masters where only one or two lefties made match play. They complained about it because they felt like they were locked out. Um, and maybe they have an argument. I don't know. I'm not left-handed. I have no idea. But it is a discussion that constantly happens. And they, I mean, how do you make it fair? Is there a way to make it fair? I don't know that there really is. And that's another reason why the Olympics is in question. That's why something like that would always be in question. So like Dana says table tennis. I mean, you can look at table tennis and say it's not a sport. Basically, it's a mini version of regular tennis, a really small version of it, but it is a skill. It's definitely a skill. It's a lot of hand-eye coordination, and it is player versus player. So technically it does meet the criteria of being a sport and being, something that could be in the Olympics or is in the Olympics. So that's the thing. I would only agree with that if there were equal number of left and right-handed bowlers in the field. Yeah, exactly like what I said. Oh, here we go. Sarah's question, I apologize if it was already discussed. How do you choose a volume, length, and left-right asymmetry that makes it fair? Oh, okay, yeah, that's what we were just discussing. That's very difficult to discuss. That's very difficult to choose, I should say. Not knowing what we can actually do to make it fair for bowlers, that's very difficult. So I think the one way you can possibly make it fair, I guess it wouldn't even be fair. Like one of the things that I think could have happened that probably needed to happen a while ago was bowling ball restrictions needed to be capped. I think they made maybe we just never saw how far advanced cover stocks and everything could go. But I think if we were able to we should have restricted the limitations of bowling balls. Now, that's like cover stocks are difficult. Like obviously you can do it based on softness. We've obviously seen them already bring that into play, ban some bowling balls based on softness and all that. But how do you test bowling balls after they've already gone through the process, all of the chemical reaction to create when they bring all of these elements together to create whatever it is that they make the cover stocks out of? How do you then test those cover stocks to see what is in those cover stocks? And the reason I say that is because obviously everybody tried to recreate the Purple Hammer, right? All the companies were trying to reverse engineer what the Purple Hammer was, and nobody was able to do it. And I think a lot of it has to do with the materials and the things that they were using to create these cover stocks. Once it goes through the process of the heating and the chemical reaction in it, you're not able to really break it up and see what all was truly used in it. You can see what, the basic component of it is, but you're not able to see how they got to that actual component. So it's a difficult thing. How do you roll that back? Like, so we started with, what wood bowling balls, went to, what rubber, and then plastic and urethane, and then to reactive. The problem was when reactive came, reactive is just kind of like a generic blanket type of name for these different types of cover stocks that aren't those other ones, that aren't urethane, that aren't, even though reactive technically is made up, it all starts with a urethane base, they add the reactive stuff to it. So I think back in the day, in order to keep things going in a good direction, keep scoring pace lower, keep everything more in line with what bowling used to be. I mean, they should have probably had some restrictions on some things. And again, I don't know what those restrictions could have been with cover stocks. I'm not a, I'm not an engineer. I'm not a scientist. I don't know enough about those chemicals and stuff that they're using to be able to even say what they could have banned, you know, other than stuff like, I mean, even diamond, like diamond particle was used in bowling balls by, what was it, Lane Masters did it with diamond particle and whatnot. Particle bowling balls didn't last very long, obviously, because those particles just broke off. They made the ball hook a ton and do a ton of different things early, and then as soon as you change the surface, or as soon as those particles smoothed out, just kind of like bowling balls now. Now the idea is to make them porous, make them with bigger pores, which increases the RS and the RA values in the bowling balls. Spaces them out, makes the grooves deeper, makes the grooves more spaced out, so that way they can hook more, have more traction, have a bigger footprint, all these different things. Like, they're figuring out how to do these things with different materials, and I just honestly don't know how they could have um, restricted or even said, no, these types of balls just aren't allowed. So, and we're looking at these balls and we're saying, oh, they hook so much, they're hooking the whole lane. It's not so much that they're hooking so much, they're just hooking earlier and earlier. A bowling ball can only hook 18 inches, technically. I mean, you've only got from the pocket to the gutter. That's less than 18 inches or just under. So we think these balls are hooking the whole lane. No, they're skidding across most of the lane. And then when they actually do hook, the max amount they can hook is the 18 inches. So, and it's just all created by friction and rotation. That's one of those things that we can discuss. That's another topic that we can have on one of these live streams later. So do me a favor, hey, and make a comment. Let me know, what do you want to talk about? Like, what are some topics that need to be discussed? I'm going to be writing them down. I'm more than likely going to be going live again tomorrow, right around the same time, probably even maybe around 11, 12 o'clock, something like that. And we'll go live and we'll just keep having these discussions. We'll keep talking about these things, kind of making this like a podcast slash whatever you want to call it. So something good for people to listen to if they've got long drives, got places to go. We can chit chat about this stuff. So comment below, let me know, what do you want to talk about? What are some of the topics we can talk about? And we will do that. We'll put the list together. But when it comes to bowling balls, yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest issues with why I think the Olympics is a struggle for us to find our way into, because there's too much emphasis on the equipment. And again, you can make the same argument with golf. Like, look at the technology and how golf has evolved over the years. Like, you go hit some of those old irons from 20 years ago compared to the irons today, you're getting 20 yards extra distance on most of the irons. Like, I bought a new set of irons this year, spent $2,000 on a new set of Strixons, and the irons that I had an old Adams set from 15 years ago or whatever it was when I bought them. And I'm using a 7-iron. I'm using an Adams 7-iron, and I'm hitting it 160, 165 yards. And then I pull up, I went to Golf Galaxy and got fitted and tried a bunch of different sets of irons. And this Strixon set, I mean, I'm hitting a 7-iron 180, 185 yards all of a sudden. Just getting the extra distance out of these irons. So then I spent $600 on a driver as well. I went from an old Callaway Diablo that I actually bought from a buddy, Steve Novak, back in the day. And I was hitting it, 260, 265. And then I buy this new AI Smoke, and now I'm hitting it 280, 285, flying at 270. And it's like the technology is just completely different now. And I'm sure it has something to do with golf balls and stuff too. Like, things have just changed in the sports. It's not like I've gotten that much better to where all of a sudden now I'm stronger and I can hit these irons this far. Like, it's just crazy. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just a completely different way to look at things. When it comes to bowling balls and the way technology has changed, we've got to understand that even like bowling balls keep getting stronger and stronger. When I say stronger, it just means they're finding new materials to use to make them earlier, to hook sooner. And the reason they're doing this is because the average bowler, the rev rate is actually low. The average bowler is less than 250 rev rate. So all the help they can get is good, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. Is they're trying to appeal these bowling balls to the average bowler or the less than average bowler, and it's a great strategy. They're doing a good job with that. You know, is your 7 iron in the same loft as the old one? Yeah, they're the same lofts. That's what's weird. Like the technology is just whatever they're made of. I don't. And again, I don't know. I don't know exactly the difference between them. I can tell you the Adams club head, the cavity, the back on the back of it had a little thicker cavity to it. They were more of a cavity back, and there was a thicker back. Whereas the new ones, they're not blades, of course, but they are a thinner club, and they're made. And of course, and the difference could be that I was fitted for them, and apparently my swing speed is higher than average, so I needed a little bit stiffer shaft. So I went from regular shafts to stiff shafts, um, and maybe that made the difference too. I don't really know, um, but that's where we're at, you know. And so, and I bought a 3-wood. I bought a I don't even remember what it is. I can't remember which 3-wood it is. But anyway, I bought it, and I only hit that like 10 yards less than a driver. I hit that thing 260. Uh, of course, when I hit it good. You know, I'm not going to hit it that way all the time. But, and again, I'm not a professional golfer, guys. Like, I think I just posted my handicap's now at like 8. So I'm not great. I'm shooting low to mid 80s most times. My average score is like 83, I think. Um, so I'm not a great golfer by any means. I'm just giving you my experience on what I've seen based on old clubs that I had and some of the new clubs that I just bought. I'm just noticing a big difference, and it's the same way with bowling. Like bowling is kind of a lot of the same way. They had all these old technology ball. Like you take an old technology bowling ball and put it up against a new technology ball, you'll obviously notice a huge difference. Um, you know, and there's a difference between stuff like the rhinos that are out there, stuff like the raws that Hammer makes, you know, the tropical surges. You know, you put those balls up against some of the big bowling balls, and you're going to see a big difference there too. You know, and again, that's just the smoothness of the cover stock versus the texture. You know, how much grit does it have? Like you can make a tropical surge hook a ton. You can do a lot with it. You can make it do whatever, almost whatever you want. That's not what I'm saying, but the natural ability of the ball comes from the new technology they've put into these cover stocks and into these cores. Now, I don't think they can go much farther with cores. I think cores are basically, in my opinion, pretty much maxed out on what their ability is. Obviously, you just got to counterweight. You got to put some counterweight in it so that way it wobbles a little bit and makes the ball try to change direction. And I don't know how much more you can actually do that. You can make bowling balls rev up more, which they have restricted. Like that was one thing Mo talked about. Like you could put a very heavy little like golf ball size core in a ball, but make it super, super dense and heavy. And that bowling ball is going to rev up and you're never going to be able to keep it on the lane. That thing is it's going to scream. And you look at it and you're like, but that's just such a small core. Why would it do that? Well, it's because you're making it center heavy. You're making it really dense in the middle and it's making it really spin faster. It's really getting going. It's like that center of gravity. Like it's like when you watch figure skaters and they have their arms out and they're spinning slow and then they bring their arms in and they start spinning faster and faster. It's that same type of thing. It's that force you create. And we're getting into all kinds of topics now, but that's why this is here. That's what this is for. That's why we're doing a live stream so we can just chit chat about bowling and stuff. So hey, make sure to hit the like button. If you enjoy these types of things, make sure to hit the like button for me. Or even if you don't enjoy it, you just want to support the channel, make sure to hit the like button. If you're on Facebook, hit the like. If you're on YouTube, make sure to hit the like, share. If you haven't subscribed, make sure to subscribe. Do me a favor, if you do support the channel, make sure to head over here. Check these out. We've got the new Trip 4 shirt, the new Trip 4 mug, and our own 10-Pin Doctors mug down here. Make sure to head over to the links in the description and get yours. And help us out there. Definitely supports the channel. Appreciate that. If you can't afford to do stuff like that, we really appreciate just hitting the like button. Just hit the like button for us, and that helps us out as well. But yeah, I'm gonna call this one a day for this stream here. I just wanted to come on and chat a little bit about the Olympics and what was going on there. Need a trip 6 for the lefties? You know what, Nevin, I got you. I'm gonna make one. So be on the lookout. I'm gonna make a trip 6 shirt and mug just for the lefties as well, and I'll post that up there, so you'll see that up there at those same links. I'm gonna make one, and we'll be able to get you going there. So anyway, I appreciate y'all. Again, make sure to head over if you haven't hit those links in the description. Thumbs up, all that good stuff. And until next time, I will see you guys. I'll probably see you tomorrow. So take care, y'all.